Today we're talking about job characteristics theory. We just talked about skill variety. Next, we'll talk about task identity. Task identity is the extent to which you create a whole product or service as part of your job as opposed to just doing a piece of it. Let me give you an example of what I mean. So earlier in the semester, we talked about how cars used to be assembled by hand, essentially by a small group of people, maybe two or three people working together to build a car literally from scratch. That would be very high task identity, where you begin the project with raw materials or a bunch of parts that are just kind of laid out like a puzzle piece, and then the team comes together to take all of those and working together to create a whole car. So that's what we mean by creating a whole piece of work. You're involved in the process of creating the product from the very beginning through to the very end. That's high task identity. Nowadays, cars are manufactured almost exclusively on assembly lines, and this is low task identity. You're not creating a whole thing from scratch to the final product. You're only doing one small part of that. And it's usually the same task over and over and over again. So you don't get to create a whole thing. You just get to contribute a small part to the creation of a whole thing. And in extreme cases, assembly line workers don't even know what they're working on. When they first started manufacturing iPhones in China, China was a much poorer country then, and Chinese people didn't have iPhones. They weren't selling them in China. And so you literally have people on an iPhone assembly line manufacturing a product, and they're only contributing one small piece to it, so they lack that task identity, and more than that, they don't even get to see the final product. They don't even understand how the work that they do, what it is contributing to the creation of. So that would be very low task identity. Surprise, surprise, being a professor has high task identity. If you take something like this lecture that I'm giving you right now, I read a bunch of articles on job characteristics theory. I outlined them. I put them into a PowerPoint presentation. I found pictures and put in text. I'm recording it right now. I'll incorporate this into the Google Forms to make it an online module. So I literally started with nothing, just some raw materials like information, textbooks, and research articles. And I created this finished product of the online module. That's really high task identity, where I was personally involved in all of the steps from raw materials to finished product.